Hey everybody, welcome back to Breakfast with Bob from Challenge Daytona and the PTO 2020 Championship. My name is Bob Babbitt. We're brought to you by Captiva Spine, John Hall Chevrolet, USA Triathlon, Foundation Risk Partners, and the PTO, the Pro Triathletes Organization. Our next guest, Olympic hopeful, Mr. Matt McElroy. How you doing, Matt?
I'm good. How are you?
I love seeing you here. This
Yeah.
is very cool. You got ITU guys like yourself, and you got the 70.3 guys and Ironman World Champions. How fun is this for you?
Yeah, it's exciting. This is my first long course event.
Yes.
So I've only had a TT bike for about a month now, and I'm just sort of getting the hang of things and getting a bike fit, just understanding how to be in the air position for about an hour and 45 minutes.
Yeah, and we're talking, if you go in a circle, half the time you're going to be in the wind, half the wind, have it wind at your back. 20-meter draft rule, which racing ITU races, you have a 2-inch draft rule. You can do whatever the hell you want.
Yeah.
This is so different.
Yeah, the dynamics are completely different. And I don't know if anyone's talked about sort of the dynamics of the race, but with the ITU guys and long course guys, you don't really know if it's going to be sort of bunched up or if everyone's going to be strung out. And it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, okay, when you think about it, you figure the ITU guys are going to be at the front for the swim. And then they're going to get out. And then, with the 20-meter draft rule, the people have to separate. Then Will, Lionel, and Sebi and the rest of the guys come storming through. And the fact that people really haven't raced that much in 2020, you don't really have where do people stand. It's very cool. And getting into this, you come from the world of running, and in 28, 36, 10K, 13, 51, 5K, and then becoming part of the U.S. developmental team. How were you identified? Who was it? Barb Lindquist who found you?
I think it was a number of different people. It started with Barb in college, and then I went to San Diego where Paulo Sousa trained. And
yes.
I was there with Greg Billington, Joe Malloy, the guys who went and represented in
Rio.
Yeah. Yeah, so that was my first introduction straight out of college, moved to San Diego.
Becoming a Powegian.
Exactly.
That is so cool. And now, how have you improved as a triathlete since? And what was the adaptation like coming from a pure running background to triathlon?
I started cross-training more towards the end of college. I was dealing with so many injuries, stress fractures, just patella tendonitis all over the place, right? And then
from all the running.
Yeah, just from all the running. I decided to dial it back, only run 100K, 60 miles a week, and then start cross-training.
Yeah.
And that's what kind of drew me into wanting to race triathlon as a professional. So as I started increasing, training volume with all three sports, it was pretty eye-opening, to be honest. You go from, only running an hour or an hour and a half a day to training 3.5, 4 hours a day.
Yeah.
It's a lot harder, and I think it makes you both mentally tough, physically tough, obviously.
Yeah.
But, it was really hard those first couple of years, and getting smashed by Joe Malloy and Greg every day was really tough.
A little bit of a wake-up call.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because I've always been a proponent that I think that high school coaches and college coaches, they're so myopic with just run. If you want to run, you got to just run. And so many people end up with stress fractures. So many people end up injured that if they put some stationary bikes on the track, it's an engine. If you tune the engine up, even if it's with swimming and cycling, you make I think, a better runner at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think there's just sort of a traditional way to approach running in college programs.
Yes.
It's kind of I always describe it as a conveyor belt. You get 20 new recruits coming in, you throw them into 120 miles a week, and you might get 1 or 2 All-Americans out of it.
Right.
So I think, again, taking a different approach to each individual athlete is super important. And maybe some athletes don't need a lot of volume on the run. They might need more cross-training. So I definitely agree.
What's interesting, I remember Coach Bob Larson, who was coaching MEB and created that first U.S. program up in Mammoth. And he was telling me that, MEB needed less miles, where someone like Adina Castor needed more miles. So every runner is different. Some do well on volume. Others break down with volume and need more speed and less volume. So like you said, the conveyor belt. They go, okay, here's 90, here's 100 miles a week, and that's what everybody's going to do, and we'll see what eggs break and what eggs don't break. That's a hard way to go through. It surprises me that nobody is willing to take a chance and do something a little different.
Yeah, and I think that's where I was a bit different in college.
Yeah.
Being at Northern Arizona University, my coach Eric Hines was just really good at communicating sort of an individual program for me. It was like maximum of 60 miles a week. And,
That what's worked for you.
And so someone like Morgan, who was in here earlier, he was running 110 at Colorado, and all my competitors ahead of me or even behind me were running more than me.
Right.
But I think the confidence of knowing that I was putting in these 25-hour weeks during college really gave me that mental edge for sure.
So when I look at 2020, Arzarena, is that it? Arzachena,
Yeah.
ITU.
In Italy.
You got 8th there. And then in 19, Santo Domingo, you won. Miyazaki, you won. So going into 2020, you're coming off a roll, right?
Yeah.
You were looking forward to a big season.
Yeah.
And the Olympics, you would have had the trials, or what you would have been racing probably in Yokohama last summer, right, to get a spot in Tokyo. What's going to happen this year? What's the setup to qualify to get to the Olympics?
Yeah, so going back to last year, I had
Yeah.
3 World Cup wins.
Yeah.
Going into this year, I had surgery on my nose, a deviated septum, and we had the ability to go out over to Europe and basically race a couple World Cups.
Yeah.
And they had Hamburg, the World Championships. So it was nice to finally race while COVID was going on and all the craziness. But heading into next year, it sounds like Japan is really positive about having the Olympics.
Yes.
They're definitely having it.
I think they're definitely, think about it.
Yeah.
When there's real money at stake, when you're
Yeah.
talking NBA, NFL, Olympics, even if there's no fans, the Olympics is going to happen. Paralympics
Yeah.
is going to happen.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So the qualification is pretty much the same as last year. They're going to take 3 U.S. men if we continue to have 3 in the top 30 in Olympic ranking.
Right.
So to get an automatic spot, though, you only get 1 automatic spot at the test event, and that has to be the top American that finishes in the top 8 at Yokohama this May.
So you have to be top 8,
Yeah.
right? And so does that mean we'll only have, because at this point, do we have any of our guys?
We have 3.
We have 3
So
spots.
right now I am 17th in Olympic ranking.
Right.
Morgan is 18th.
Yep.
And Eli Hemming is 27th.
Oh.
So if we continue to sort of do what we've been doing, we should have 3 guys, and then 2 spots will most likely be discretionary based on the relay.
So if one of you guys finishes top 8, or does it matter?
One of us is guaranteed a spot.
Guaranteed.
Yeah, no matter what, and then the 2 spots will be discretionary based on the relay.
Okay. Oh.
Yeah, so the relay now is involved.
Becomes pivotal.
Yeah.
And this is the first time, for people who don't know, this mixed relay is the coolest thing ever for our sport, right? It's fast and furious. It's a 300-yard swim followed by a 3-mile bike and a 1-mile run, and 2 men, 2 women, and it's off the pontoon. It's great television. And does it suit you?
I think it does. I mean, I come from a track background, right? So
Yeah.
I have the leg speed.
Yeah.
But it's exciting. Like, it's so short, and having a girl and there's a team involved, right? And there's not a lot of team events in triathlon.
No.
It's all individual.
Yep.
Especially this weekend. This is all individual. So I think you're relying on others to step up and sort of play their part. And we have 2 of some of the we have a handful of the best American women.
Oh yeah.
And
Katie
in
Safari,
ITU.
Summer Rappaport. You get lots to choose from.
Yeah. So I'm confident that we're going to have a team that can medal. It just depends on if we can, win or not. And,
Right.
And that comes down to, I think it's so much of a team sport, and it's going to be about everyone being on that day.
That's so cool. The other thing we were chatting about earlier, you were, I think, did you get 2nd at Foot Locker?
Yeah.
2nd at Foot Locker. Now, people who don't know Foot Locker is the World Series of cross-country high school running, and it's the only national championship in any high school sport. And when the athletes from all the 4 regions of the country qualify to come out to San Diego, they and their parents are flown in, they're stayed at the Hotel Del Coronado, they're treated as professional athletes. How cool was that weekend for you?
Yeah, it was amazing. So I went in getting 2nd at the California State meet.
Yes.
And then the year previous, I went to NXN. I didn't have a...
Oh, you went to the Nike Nationals?
Yeah, I didn't have a great race. I was finished in the 20s. And
Okay.
I knew I wanted to go to Foot Locker the next year because the racing at NXN was just, you'd jump over hay. But it was almost
not real
more
cross
European.
country. Yeah,
well, it's very European.
It's
cross
almost like
country.
fell running a little bit. Yeah,
and the one in Balboa Park, Foot Locker, is like so close to home.
Yeah.
Being from Huntington Beach,
Yep.
I could drive an hour away and I'm there. So I didn't have to fly in. It was a pretty easy choice to decide to go to Foot Locker.
Yeah.
And my goal, I didn't have like any expectation. I just wanted to race well.
Right.
And when I finished second to arguably one of the greatest high school runners ever, Lucas Verzbickus, like that was amazing. That was for sure one of the best moments of my athletic career, even to this day.
Of course. I mean, here's a kid who won Foot Locker twice. He was the fifth high school kid to break the 4-minute mile, and you're second place to this guy.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. And then now Lucas trained as a triathlete through his high school career as running. Do you think during your high school career it would have helped you to train more cross training?
Well, the thing is, I actually heard about Lucas during high school.
Oh, you did?
And yeah, my coach told me about him, and he goes, "This guy is going to be the greatest high school runner ever in the history." And he's like, he's a triathlete, and he swims this much, bikes this much. The only way you can beat him is if you train like him. So I actually started swimming in high school.
Wow.
But not like properly. Not with a swim coach.
No.
I was just, I grew up surfing. So I'd do surf class in the morning, and then I'd run, and then I'd swim at night.
Right.
And then I was doing like a group ride once a week. So that's
In
how
high
I got
school.
introduced to I was triathlon training without
Really triathlon training.
Yeah. Not doing it like with technique or anything. So that was my introduction to like doing 3 sports.
That's so fun.
Yeah.
That's so cool. And after the Olympics, hopefully you go to the Olympics, would you do another round for Paris?
Yeah, that's the plan. So I'm 28, and
Yeah.
I think I'll probably, hopefully it's only in 3 years is
that's
Paris.
right. Yeah,
It's not like a full 4-year cycle. So I think the plan is to do 3 more years, and then
Step
in
up.
between that, sort of maybe hop into
Dabble.
1 or 2 70.3s. I just think it's exciting to step up to long course, so it's an easier transition when I'm done.
Right.
And then hopefully I'm racing until I'm like 40.
Absolutely.
There's some guys here who are like 44. I met Andy the other day. He's 44 years old.
Andy Potts is 44.
Yeah.
I think Tim Don is 43. There's no reason.
Yeah, why
with
can't you
this
do it?
sport. This is the fountain of youth. You can do this forever.
Yeah.
Love it. Hey, Matt, thanks for taking time. I look forward to seeing you racing this weekend. I think you're going to surprise a few people.
Thanks. Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right, Matt McElroy has been our guest again. Practice with Bob, Challenge Daytona, PTO 2020 Championship. Hold on, everybody. We will be right back.